Many Democrats have been frustrated and even frightened by what they've seen from Donald Trump in the first year of his second term. They've been showing up at town hall meetings to vent at their members of Congress, and they've been showing up at protests, like the No Kings rallies. Today, we're going to find out if they show up at the place that matters most, and that's the ballot box. Each of these elections will tell us something different about the shape of the two parties and the excitement or frustration that each one has 1 year ahead of next year's midterm elections. Let's start with California. That's where Donald Trump is most directly at the center of the election fight. California voters are going to decide whether to pass Proposition 50. Prop 50 would temporarily put in place a new map for the state's congressional districts that give Democrats a good chance of picking up 5 more House seats at the expense of Republicans.
Other blue states need to stand up.
Here's what it looks like on the ground in California.
Here on the ground in California, I'm kind of surprised. Sometimes these propositions don't get a lot of traction, but I don't think I've ever seen as much advertising.
California, the whole nation is counting on you.
Arnold Schwarzenegger on the other side, you got the Terminators involved. He's on the No on 50 campaign.
Now this is spreading like wildfire all over the country, and it saddens me to see that we're going in the opposite direction rather than having an independent commission draw the district lines.
40% of Californians did vote for Donald Trump, so it's not monolithic at all. But I think that in urban areas, Democrats feel marginalized, and they feel like this is one of the few things they can do. And I think Gavin Newsom, if he wins, it's going to be a big deal for him.
We're responding to the crisis, not of our making, but the crisis that Donald Trump advanced, Greg Abbott, and other Republicans that don't believe in fair and free elections.
The elections for governor in Virginia and New Jersey will also tell us how fired up each party's voters are to come out and vote. In New Jersey, there's a real chance that Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican candidate for governor, will defeat Mikey Sherrill, his Democratic opponent. And if that happens, it'll be a sign that Democratic frustration with Donald Trump can only go so far. The race in Virginia is less of a bellwether, largely because the Republican candidate for governor has not performed well. In the Norfolk area, there's a heavy military presence, and in Northern Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C., there are a lot of federal workers. We'll be watching for whether the Republican Party pays any price for the federal government shutdown that has furloughed workers and for the cutbacks in the federal workforce that have taken place. The election for mayor in New York gives us a chance to take a different kind of look at the Democratic Party. These elections come at an unexpected moment for President Trump. He had won election in 2024 on promises to cut the costs of everyday goods and services for everyone. But voters are unhappy with what they're seeing. Into that steps Zohran Mamdani, who unexpectedly seemed to come out of nowhere and become the frontrunner in the election for mayor in New York City. This is one of the first big tests of whether Democrats can persuade voters that they are the party best suited to handling the economy and cutting down the costs of living. Here's a look at the rise of Zohran Mamdani.
Mamdani's admirers and critics would both agree that he's a unicorn candidate. The political establishment in the Democratic Party has slowly realized that this guy is possibly the future of the party. I think Mamdani crafted a simple message that really struck a chord with young voters. It shouldn't be this hard to live in New York City. From day one, he's spoken about affordability while pledging to take on Donald Trump.
We can demand a government that makes our lives better. We can tell billionaires that this city doesn't just belong to them.
And I think he's told that message really effectively to young voters through social media and short videos.
In a time of darkness, New York must be the light.
At the same time, Andrew Cuomo, he is a household name. He's been the governor, but I don't think he's connected with voters because they see him as kind of the old guard, and he's not really offering many new ideas. What he's focused on throughout his campaign has been crime and quality of life.
I was governor for 11 years. The budget is double what it is in New York City, and I got government to work.
The other thing is, there's a big question about Mamdani's appeal and whether there's a ceiling to that. He's a polarizing candidate, especially with Jewish voters who disagree with his views on Gaza. And then if you look at Andrew Cuomo, many moderate Democrats chose to support him in this election, and that's because they saw Mamdani as inexperienced, or that some of his ideas were just not tangible or able to happen.
You have to be aware, right, that many of the things that make people feel squeezed, you are not going to control.
He's telling the story that people want to hear. Mamdani has offered the Democrats a playbook to follow in the future. The message is easily replicated, but I don't think the messenger is. Mamdani's highly charismatic and he knows how to connect with voters. But I don't know how many other candidates around the country have those kind of talents.
People tend to vote out of anger and frustration more than out of contentment. And that's what we'll be looking for in these 4 elections. How strong is that anger among the Democratic Party? And does it lead to enough Democrats coming out that it can overcome the loyalty that Republicans have shown to Donald Trump and the Republican Party?